How to buy $1 million home with no money out of your pocket on this episode of Major Money Matters. All right, welcome back. This time, welcome good friend, Realtor Hakeem Love, straight out of Hawaii. Hakeem's a realtor. He's an investor. He's a visionary. He's a helper of other people. I could add a bunch of other adjectives there. A family guy. Man, you're a lot of things to a lot of people, man. But thanks for being on.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Major. I appreciate your platform and allowing me the opportunity to be on your platform because, I'm gonna shoot those accolades right back at you. You know what I mean? I've been following you. I've been watching you. You're a family man. You also, help people find their place in the world is what I like to call it because you're putting people in homes. You do a lot of work with military. You invest as well. So, and you're a helper of people. I like the way you said that, helper of people. And that's kind of the goal. We have to share this information that we have. We have to share our blessings with other people. So thank you. I'm humbled and grateful for the opportunity.
Well, I really love this, man, because, both of us really came from really, really, really humble beginnings. And we connected in our story on that. I've told my story a little bit, but today we're going to highlight your story and your background. And let's start there, man. Let's start with, how you came up, and your upbringing, where you grew up. Tell us about your background.
Well, my mother and father, I can go back to my grandparents are from Tennessee. My mother and father grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. So that's where it all started. That's where it all started with me. I grew up in government housing, which we call the projects now. I'm just going to be real. I'm not going to really sugarcoat it or I just got to be honest and just tell the truth. For many years, I really didn't talk about a lot of that stuff, how I got to where I am now. And I'm not saying I'm at the top of the top. I'm on a path. I'm on a journey. So yeah, projects, Memphis, Tennessee, government housing, government assistance. We talking food stamps. I'm not even talking EBT cards. I'm talking before that. For those who may be old enough to remember, the dollar, the little, I don't know, only like a cream color, with the brown face on it, where you had to go to the store and spend that and be embarrassed, But now you got the EBT cards where it looked like a credit card. So I go all the way back to that, government cheese, what they call it.
Man, ain't nothing better than a government cheese a grilled government cheese sandwich. Man, nothing better.
Absolutely. So, just humble beginnings. And I knew early on that, this probably is not what I wanted. I wanted to get out of this and try to make some of myself, when you go to school, your peers are hard on you.
Yeah.
You ain't got the right clothes on. They're a little rough on you. So I had to go through a little bit of that. My father was pretty much an entrepreneur most of his life. He never really held a job. He always say, I'm not working. I don't want to work for the man. So He was an entrepreneur. He sold a lot of incense, T-shirts, body oil, CDs, sunglasses, cassette tapes. The king. He was the bootleg king before bootleg was a thing because we was bootlegging the cassette tapes.
Right.
So now I was standing out in front of grocery stores with a case of cassette tapes for $5 a pop, selling those. So I guess that's where the entrepreneurial spirit come from, man. So that's kind of the beginning. That's kind of the beginning of the story. And I just knew I wanted better for myself. It was 7 of us. She had 7 children, and it was a struggle. You can imagine.
Yeah, man. And I really respect, I like for people to know where people came from, and because people will look at you today and they're like, hey, he's doing this, he's doing that. And, when me and my brother and my sister get together, we often share stories of us growing up and the situations that we grew up in. Literally, man, when we were growing up, our bathroom floor was like rotted.
Mm.
about to rot through, man. And we came from really having like nothing materialistically.
Right.
But you know what? Tough times create tough people,
There you go.
and tough mental people. And you know, we're where we are by the grace of God, but also because we worked really hard. And I like what you're doing because you're not resting on your laurels. You're actually reaching back and you're helping people now get into that first home and educate people about, you know, your path and what steps you took to get to the point now where you do live in $1 million house in Hawaii. And you've created a great life for you and your family, but you're also taking the time to reach back and help other people, which is why, you know, I respect that so much in you. And we want to tell your story. So we want to tell from the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning, and I'm going to share my screen here so we can follow along and we can talk about this and what exactly you know happened and how you actually did this. So we're going to bring this screen up here. So we want to talk through you know the process of how this happened and how you put all this together to today live in $1 million home. So you kind of started and you kind of built up to where you are right now. And I want to talk about this because often you know people get to this point where they I often say that we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So
Mm.
we have to start somewhere and keep going. So I want to draw out your path here because I found this fascinating, man. When you laid all this out, I'm like, wow, this is amazing what you did. So let's go back to the first house, your first house you bought.
Okay.
Tell me about your life at that time, how old you were. Tell me what place you were in at your life. You know, did you have a lot of money? What was the story when you bought that first house?
Okay, so this is this is the magic of real estate, and this is my journey, as you can see on the screen. So 2008, my first home that I bought, my wife and I don't let me get to doing the math and calculating and dating myself. 2008, I don't think I was in my 20s. I was maybe late 20s or early 30s,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. So 2008, my first house. Before we got that house, we sitting in an apartment in California. Hercules, California is the name of the city. It was like a condo, a
Okay.
maybe 2 bedroom condo. We sitting, and you know, at this time, 2007, 2006, prices was out. It was outrageous, right? 2006, 2007, 2008 was the kind of the crash, they say. So we
Mm-hmm.
sitting there thinking, man, we counted out the fact that we'll be able to even ever own a home. You know, like prices were
Wow.
too high. We had a negative, I guess you would call it a limiting belief. You know, in
Yeah.
a sense, because we always, man, we can't afford. We'll never be. Let's just hang it up. Let's just rent forever. That was our
Mm-hmm.
mind state. You know, but you know what we did, we was kind of dedicated, you know, and it all starts with mind state. You have to have that mind state to say that I can do this, I'm
Right.
going to do this, I
Mm-hmm.
have to do this. So um so 2008 came, and we just went for it. We had a little money saved up. You know, I had zero credit. You know, I remember when we tried to get the loan, the lender said, you don't have bad credit, you don't have good credit, you have no credit. And I didn't even understand what that means then. But you know, I think we ended up saving, I want to say five, six, seven, maybe $8,000. And that's what we put down. Our first home was a FHA loan.
Okay.
FHA loan.
Okay.
Right. It was,
Got it. So
yep,
you
it
so
was,
you had that
mhm.
FHA loan, and sometimes people think that FHA loans are exclusively for first-time home buyers. They're not. But they can help you get into a home a little bit more forgiving on situations like yours, again, where there's no credit or maybe a challenged credit history. FHA loans are more forgiving on that. So that's what you did first, okay? And you were in that house, and then 3 years later, you bought a rental property in Kapolei, Hawaii. Now, why Hawaii at the time?
Well, if you think back, I don't know if you were in Hawaii then, but in 2011, well, we've been coming to Hawaii for like early 2000s, since like 03, 04, you know, and we always knew the place was magical. We bonded with the islands, met friends, connected with people. So we always knew that we got to retire at some point, right? You have to have this vision. You have to start planning well in advance. So we knew we didn't want to work forever. And at this time, I was able to walk away from my job of 15 years in corporate America. I worked for Comcast Cable
Okay.
company for 15 years. So 2011, we knew we wanted to end up in Hawaii. We understood at Kapolei at that time, nothing much was even built, but we knew they was building the Disney Aulani Hotel out
Yep.
there. We knew we had a vision of what Koalina was going to be. We knew the people was coming in because we go back. So back then it was a lot of stuff wasn't even there in Kapolei.
Right.
It was like just vacant land. So first rental property Kapolei, we did that. It was a 2-bedroom condo. And I think we put $60K down. We had to save, though. It takes discipline to save
Now,
that.
so the 60K came from savings.
Yes, that 60K
Okay.
came from savings.
Awesome. So right now you're sitting at 2 properties. Okay. You got the property in California. You're still living in California. You buy a rental property in Kapolei off of the vision of what will become.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Now we go on to it's 2013. You buy your second rental property in Vallejo, California. Okay. Now, when you bought that second property in second rental property in Vallejo, how did you get the money to buy that second rental property?
So that second rental property in Vallejo, first of all, it was only $135,000.
Okay, got it.
And so we got a loan.
Okay, got it. So not an expensive home in Vallejo. And I think it's important to point that out, Hakeem, because sometimes people are like, well, hey, I see this rental property at $500,000, $600,000. I think this is a good spot. Well, maybe you need to buy a rental property at 150 or 200. And there are still situations where people can buy properties like that and have a rental property. So this is now your third property, and you're being pretty conservative about it, and you're buying a rental property in Vallejo.
Right. And I remember buying that property. It was either 130 and 150, somewhere around there. And I remember my realtor then, because this was before I even had my real estate license. But I remember my realtor then, he convinced us to offer 30,000 over asking price. And this is what he said: don't worry about how much you put over. You're going to make that money back in a few years anyway. So the house, I want to say the house was 130, right? I think we offered 160, 170 or something, somewhere, I can't remember, but something like that. But I know we put 30, and I was like, I felt a certain way in 2013 offering 30K over asking price. But I just went with them. I had a little bit of vision. I was reading some books on real estate investing and things like that. I picked up an amazing book that actually changed my life. It was called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And actually, that was to go back to prior to 2008. That was the book I was reading. So that what changed my mindset anyway to get me up to where I am. And 2013 is where we are now.
Listen, I don't want to breeze over. I don't want to breeze over that because sometimes people don't understand the impact of a freaking book. Because you and I came from very humble beginnings, and you, just like I, started to just read books. 90% of what I know, my dad didn't necessarily teach me about business or something like that. I had to learn from a book. And people don't understand the value of reading and getting educated and reading stories from people who've actually done things like this, because it's essential that we get the education in, because you can't change your circumstances before you change your mindset. And, when you're talking about somebody coming out of government assistance or a very poor neighborhood. I grew up in South Carolina, and I grew up in the poorest county in one of the poorest states in the United States. So,
Monk's Corner. I know a little bit about South
don't
Kakalaka.
start. Don't throw no Monk's
Oh,
Cone at me, man. Don't.
okay, I know a little
Oh
something.
man, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, so let's get back to this. So it's 2013. All right, and now
Right.
we got three properties now. And
Mm-hmm.
okay, now we go into something. You did a 1031 exchange. Okay. Now,
Yes.
can you tell the listeners what a 1031 exchange is?
Okay. 1031 is a very important rule for real estate investment. So 1031 exchange is basically, it allows you to defer your capital gains taxes. So if you for an investment property, so if you sell one property, you don't have to pay any taxes on that as long as you purchase the next property, and you just kind of like rolling that money over and over without paying the taxes. This is what the wealthy has been known for a very, very long time, and
Yeah,
I think it's a great. So definitely look into doing a 1031 exchange as a real estate investor. It's imperative that you know what that is.
absolutely. Because at some point, if you invest in real estate correctly, you will transition from worrying about how much you make to worrying about how much you keep. So,
Exactly.
so that 1031 exchange is essential. You did a 1031 exchange. Now you sold the rental property in Kapolei, and then you
Mm-hmm.
bought another rental property in Kapolei, correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
I basically upgraded from a condo to a single family home.
perfect. But you didn't pay anything out of pocket for that second place in Kapolei because you rolled over the profits.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I could the down payment was pretty much covered.
Okay. Can you tell me how much you bought the property for in 2016?
That property in 2016, it was a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath in Kapolei. 2016, we paid about I want to say 580 for that
580
house.
for that house on a 3 bedroom single family in
Correct.
Kapolei. Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so you got that property, and then in 2018 you buy a property in Memphis, Tennessee. How'd you get connected to Memphis, Tennessee?
Well, then that's my hometown. That's where my family's from. I kind of went into business with my father. Rest in peace, pops. He passed away early this year, but we purchased this property. Pretty much, it was on him. He purchased that in 2018. 10,000 cash, 10K cash. But he didn't know that there was some back taxes, like $8,000, because he didn't, and this is a learning moment for a lot of people, right? So when he bought that property for 10K, he worked out like a promissory note with a guy that he knows in the city, right?
Mm.
That guy didn't tell us that they owe about 8K in taxes.
Oh,
So it's very important. It's very important with any real estate transaction that you get a title company involved. Whether you're paying cash, whether you're doing a handshake deal, it doesn't matter. Get a title or escrow company involved, because they're going to look at that and tell you, wait a minute, did you know you owe this tax? This tax debt will be transferred to you if you purchase this property. So we didn't know that, right?
okay.
So we said it is what it is. Let's just make some payments. So I started helping with the payments. We paid off that 8K finally after a few years, here and there. Here's 200 here, here's 100 here, here's 100 here, and got that paid off.
Okay.
So
All
yeah.
right, perfect. Now and then you sold that property. So even with the 10K and the other 10K or 18K, I mean, so you're 18K in, you sold it at 32, you sold it at May 30. You kind of doubled your money still, even with the fees.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Sold it for 32. Yep. And basically took that 32 and transitioned to the third rental property in Memphis, Tennessee. That was on that we got that one on the tax lien, actually, on the website. That was a tax lien property. They owed 30 some. They owed 30 about 30K in taxes on it. We took the money from 2018 third rental property in Memphis, took those proceeds and purchased that third one in Memphis through a tax
Okay.
lien.
Perfect. Now, I don't want to go deep into tax liens, so we can go down a pigeonhole, just do a whole conversation on tax liens.
Right.
But then did you buy another rental property in Tennessee?
Yes, that's the current one I'm sitting on right now. Has a renter in there. Got that one for, I want to say 4750K cash in
Okay,
2022. That's the one we in right now. So
perfect.
boom, 20. Okay, I'm following your screen here.
And then
Got that.
did
Go
you
ahead.
sell the one in Vallejo?
No, that's the pride and joy right there. That's cash flowing. That's value increasing. So you don't want to get rid of the one that's doing the best for you. You
But you
know.
did take cash out of that home,
Yes, sir.
and then you
I took.
bought your current primary home, and you bought that home in Kapolei when you guys moved to Hawaii permanently.
No, we actually moved to Hawaii permanently. So go up to 2011,
Okay, so
right?
back in 2011 here.
Yeah, we moved. So 2011, we put renters in that place, right?
Okay,
So the renters were in there for a few years. We had two different renters in there. So before we came to Hawaii, we gave them a 60-day notice or 40, whatever was allowed. And then we moved into that first rental property in Kapolei
got it.
for like a year or two.
Okay,
And then we refinanced, took money out of that Vallejo property and took money. So we I missed the part. The 28, the 2000, the first house we sold. That's how we sold. So 2008. I'm sorry, my slides wasn't all the way together, but the 2008 home we sold right before we moved here. We
got it.
bought that one we bought that one, that first house 2008. We bought that at for 275 and we
Okay.
sold it for 785. So we took that. Should we pause on that for a minute?
Listen, man. All right. So, what year did you sell that house?
We sold that house in 2020,
So,
2021, somewhere
all
right,
right.
somewhere around there.
So about 12, 13 years later, did you have any idea in 2008 that you'd be selling that house for $500,000 plus profit in 12, 13 years later?
I didn't have any idea that it would sell for that much, but I knew it was going to sell, and I knew. So when we bought, and this is another key important thing that you want to remember when you go into any real estate transaction, you all in your mind, you always have to have an exit strategy. We knew
Yeah.
that we was going to buy that house, but we knew we wasn't going to live there forever, right? Because we've been coming to Hawaii already since 2003, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
We knew this is where we wanted to live. We wanted to be healthy. We wanted to, you know what I mean? We knew that. Um, so we put money into that first house. We put about 40K. Don't get me wrong. We put about 40, 50K into the house, but it was beautiful. That's what got it to sell for that high price. It was in a good neighborhood, a desirable neighborhood. So that's what got it to sell. So yes, in a sense, I knew that we was going to make a move, and I knew that house was going to sell for a lot more than what we purchased it for 5 to 10 years down the line.
So this is amazing as I look at your diagram here of what you did, because I mean the hook on this video was you how to buy $1 million property for zero money out of pocket. You did that. You just did it over the course of 14 years. And the reality is now, so how many properties do you currently still have?
About four.
About four you
Yeah,
currently
yeah.
still
I think I got about four now. I'm
four
working on
that
some
you
other things. Yeah,
okay. So you got four that you currently that you still have,
still
but
have.
you went through a process of 2008 and you build upon build and you did a little bit of something over here, sold it off, I mean, and I think sometimes people view real estate as just a place to stay, as just a roof over your head, which is important. It's a necessity. But
Right,
real estate these days are more of a path to wealth, because sometimes, in our community, Hakeem, people will be like, oh, I'm just going to rent. I'm just gonna rent. I'm just gonna rent. I'm just gonna rent. But there are those of us who just, I mean, rent to me is like profanity. I mean, just don't
Mm.
curse at me,
Right.
because even for those for I mean, if you're sitting on our side where we own properties, we're those people that are living in our properties, they're really building our wealth. And if you go rent someplace, you're really building someone else's wealth. And those of us who have a certain mindset are like, no, I don't rent. It's just something I don't do. I mean, it's just, I mean, except some extreme exception. But so here's, as we close out, here we go. I got a question for you. If you can go back and talk to yourself in 2007, before you bought your first property, okay? If you can go back and talk to yourself, what would you tell yourself in 2007?
Okay, what I would tell myself in 2007, I would tell myself to go back and talk to myself in 1998, in 1999, and I would say, "Boy, get started now. Let's get to work." I wouldn't have wasted much. I mean, because the thing is, I started from the bottom. We started here, right? And I'm here now, but I need to get here. I have a lot of colleagues that are here. I have colleagues, and by no means, and I tell my story because a very long time I didn't talk about my story because I didn't want people to think that I'm braggadocious. What they call stunting or whatever. Even some of my family members, unless they inquire because they see what I'm doing. They know what I'm doing. They see it online. They see my presence, and we said it a couple times already. It starts with mind state. Um, so I'm humble to be where I am, and I feel like it's time for me to really share this information. Like share this, to inspire other people. So like I said, I have colleagues that are all like that are up here, have 50-unit apartment buildings, 100-unit, 100 doors, 200. Just they will never really have to work again. They do it out of the love, and they do it to teach other people, show other people. So it's still a journey, and I want people to know that to make it all worth it, you have to share it. You have to give back. I've been blessed to be where I am today, but I still have a lot further to go. So I want to bring as many people around me, loved ones, as I can. But, I think Nipsey Hussle said it. Everybody just can't go because of mind state.
Yeah.
You have to that mentality. And when you talked about, I'm just going to sit here and rent, um, you know, do me a favor, Major. Go back to that slide because I think it was one more click that we needed.
Okay. All right. Let me go back to share my screen here, and
because there should have been a question mark pop up. There
yep.
you go.
Yeah.
So that's my story. So the next one is what is my next property? What's my next move? So that's why I put the circle with the question mark there.
Okay.
And even just so you keep going, level up. So that's
Awesome stuff, man. Well, I mean, I really like your story because you're not just talking about it. I'm seeing it in action. I'm seeing how you're pouring into the lives of other people. You have a signing today, young couple, that's getting into a house. And I'll tell you what, man, when I saw this thing, I was like, this is
yeah,
this is a freaking cash cow, in Hawaii.
yes.
Beautiful area, brand new build. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, God dog it, man. How'd you find this thing?
I
So
appreciate you for bringing that deal together. Major was the lender on that one. We got a young African American lady. I'm so happy for her and her family. Major and we know that this one is special because she knows she's getting a great value, brand new home, beautiful home. Way undervalued, but she don't have to do anything to it. It's immaculate. It's brand new. So in 2 years, I'm definitely keeping in touch with her. So shout out to Christina. She don't mind me saying her name because she actually want to tell her story as well. So maybe we can get together and put something together, have her tell her story.
yeah, amazing job, and I'm just so happy for her, and for her fiance. It's a beautiful property, and I'm just happy to be connected with you, Hakeem, connected to see the work that you're doing. You're just helping so many people. And you're investing and pouring your lives into other people when really you don't have to. You can say, hey, I'm good. But I appreciate you being on and sharing your story. Hopefully this inspires somebody to just, everybody could say, hey, I wish I can go back to, man, I wish I could have done that in 2008. Well, shoot, it's 2023 right now. Where are you going to be in 2035 or 2036? It comes faster than you know. But you got to get started right now and keep building with vision for the future. So thanks for being on, Hakeem. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your time for your platform. Had allowed me. You such an inspiration to me as well. I mean, we did an event also. We did a wealth building event, creating financial success. It was great having your energy up there. And we want to continue doing those, whether they'll be virtual, they'll be online, but y'all stay on the lookout for other seminars. And it's about bringing people together. So thank you. I appreciate it. Pleasure was all mine. Let's keep it going, brother.
All right, brother. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Some Major Money Matters.